It's really hard to have a bad day when it starts out like this. I was able to get out about a mile out into the ocean, see the sunrise and some boats for the start of the morning. And then a little bit later, I was able to see a dolphin. So after all that, it was going to be really hard to ruin my day. Not that the market didn't try. But as soon as I got home and got everything set up, I noticed that I had been logged out of my trading account. And it looks like there's a technical issue with Tradeovate, which prevented me from logging in. So that kind of irritated me. I spent about 15 minutes just scrambling around. I was taking screenshots, uploading it to live chat support, trying to do everything that I could to get logged in. And then in that moment, I realized I'm panicking. There's really no need to panic. I'm just gonna observe the market, and I'll take a paper trade if that's the case, because my goal isn't to jump into the stock market and take a bunch of money. My goal is to become the type of trader that successfully executes his trade every time it presents itself. Success for me isn't determined on one trade, but the ability to do this over a long period of time. So when I finally logged in, I was looking at gold. I said yesterday that one of the things that I was going to do was really just focus on gold and just drop down S&P 500 into observe only, just because it hasn't earned the right to stay in the mix right now. And what gold did was it had a nice breakout right away, and it never did fully retest. This is one of the frustrations that I've had with gold in general. There's times where it doesn't fully retest and give me an opportunity to set up. There's times where it just chops a lot, which is why I ended up working with working with the S&P 500, because it always gives me a second option to take a trade. And today, this is a classic example of gold. My entry wouldn't have taken place until it fully retested the opening range or even this previous day low. So we had a big strong breakout, and then it came back down and retested this level here, but not fully where I would have wanted to take entry. And then it had a nice continued run for a little while before it just kind of gave way to chop. And then I did observe ES, and this is a good example of what it's been doing to me for a while. I had an initial breakout in a bearish direction, and then it did provide us with a nice retest. So I placed a simulated entry right here, which is valid for my setup. And you can see it immediately stalled out. I would have been stopped out right here. And then about 7 or 8 minutes later, up at the top of the range, we had another breakout and a consolidation here. And then once we closed above that consolidation high, it provided me with a nice entry point. I did simulate this entry as well because, like I said, I really don't want to trade this until it proves that it can be consistent for me. At this point, this is 1 out of 2 wins, and then yesterday I tested a couple of them that ended up losing. So the win rate is pretty low, and what it does is it kills my overall win rate, but really, more importantly, it kills my P&L. So I'm still continuing to observe ES. I'm not going to force it. This is essentially a no trade day, but like I said, after a start to the morning like I had, it's really going to be hard to ruin my day. I'm just really not going to allow one day of no trading to determine my outcome. When you're doing something like this, it really is the journey. Just looking at these candles here, these candles realistically are printing off every minute, but they really represent just one day in this journey. When I look at this one day, yeah, it wasn't very good from a trading standpoint. There was nothing that happened. I didn't get a chance to execute my setup, but there's a tendency in that moment just to feel like, man, what am I doing? I've spent so much time, nothing's really happening. But when you look back over the long course of what's been happening, you can see the progress. And that's what I'm focusing on right now. My success is not based on one trade, but based on my ability to continuously execute my setup over a long course of time.